Welcome to Espiritu Coffee Chats, the podcast where we blend wellness, spirituality, and business to help you live with intention and balance.
We're your hosts, Valerie and Arlene, two Latina entrepreneurs here to guide and grow with you. Welcome back to Espiritu Coffee Chats. We are back in the goddess room if you're watching us on YouTube. And today we have a really fun episode. We're talking about human design, specifically about relationships.
Yeah.
So Arlene's going to guide us for the most part because I'm learning in real time, you guys. So
yeah, this is a real time learning curve for Val, because Val has completed my human design certification program. And that is just like the door portal to all the different types of things that you can really understand and build with human design. So today we wanted to talk about relationships and relationship dynamics. This is one of, besides just the beginner type readings or like, the way I like to look at human design, the way I kind of structure my readings is, you start with the foundations, which are your energy type, your profile numbers, your authority, and then the centers, right? The 9 energy centers in human design. That's just like already a lot for most people. Mm-hmm. And then once somebody gets a little more familiar with that and they start to live their life by their design, then they jump into the gates and the channels and the incarnation cross and circuitry and all these other things. Now that's like, I would say a little more advanced or maybe intermediate actually, because that's where you're now getting into the nitty gritty of your chart. And then the advanced parts start to come in when you can actually read your chart with somebody else's chart and understand the energy dynamics of partnerships and relationships. And it's not so much love, it's partnerships with anybody, right? Like love, your romantic partners, your children, your business partners, your friends, your parents. Like you can literally like go on a whole dumpster dive with it. And then there's obviously other parts to human design, which we won't tap into, which is the primary health system, which mostly has to do with the arrows. So now you can see the layers of steps that are from beginner to intermediate and then advanced. So this I feel like is a little more advanced because you do have to understand with these types of readings, the gates and the channels, because you're not really looking at the human design like the way that you human design chart, the way that you would look at it if you were just doing a 1-to-1 reading, right? Just looking at your own chart. So are we ready to dive in?
Yes, I'm excited.
Okay. So what we're going to dive into is basically composite, which is also known as relationship charts. So this happens when two people come together. And so one person will have their chart, another person will have their human design chart, and then they overlay each other. And so we're going to talk about what the main key is to look for. Now, with this type of reading, it is a little bit about understanding your energy type. So, for example, I'm a projector, Valerie is a generator. Mm-hmm. That's going to also play into the dynamics of our partnerships. And actually, generators and projectors get along very well. Yay. Because the generator allows the projector to probe directly into them. And the way that the projector probes, it probes straight into the G center. And so the G center is really where a lot of the love gates are in human design, which me and Valerie are aware of because we have an incarnation cross and all of our love gates are there from our incarnation cross. But that's also where you can see people's identity. You can see kind of the essence of, the center of who they are, right? So that's one little teaser on how you can look at energy types, but more so, again, it's going into the gates and the channels. So Valerie, do you have any questions at this point?
Not yet. I think for me, being like in the certification program, we've mainly focused, like how you said, on the introductory stuff, and we've dove into a little bit more of the complex things and like the circuitry and the gates and channels, but we haven't really talked about how we like intertwine with other people, because we have these, especially if we have, what are they called, hanging gates, and we're like always looking for someone to kind of fill that extra gate to make a full channel. So yeah, I'm just really curious to see how it's going to play out in relationships.
Yeah. And so this is just like a little teaser. If you want to dive deeper into this, I am doing a human design retreat in June. It's going to be the summer solstice weekend, which I'm super excited for. And we'll do a deeper dive there at that retreat with 2 types of workshops. But for the sake of this episode, what Valerie's talking about, it's basically activations. So all of our charts activate each other in different ways. Like, for example, I have a defined spleen. Valerie has an open spleen center. So when we are together, she actually gets my defined spleen. And I have a undefined sacral energy center in human design, and she has a defined sacral. So right now I'm getting her sacral energy and she's getting my splenic energy. But when it comes to like sometimes when you're with somebody, you're like, why am I so activated by this person? Like, why am I so lit up? Like every time around this person, like I'm so lit up. And that's just called electromagnetics. So electromagnetics are basically activations, and they're when you are paired up with somebody else and they have the opposite of what you have, or they have what you don't have, right? So you can look at it through the lens of energy centers, you know, like just looking at your chart. If you have your chart and maybe somebody else's chart, you know, a loved one that, you know, really understand really well, you can just look at the chart and just see what energy centers does that person define in you and vice versa, right? So my husband and I are a perfect example of that. I am defined more so from the G center and up, and he is undefined from the crown all the way down into the root. So he has his spleen, his solar plexus, and his root defined, and then I have the upper part of the body graph. So when we're on top of each other, you put our charts on top and overlay them, he literally fills in the parts that I don't have and I fill in the parts that he doesn't have. So that's one of the beauties of it. But when you really want to go deeper and see how is this relationship going to pan out, that's when you're looking at the gates and the channels. So we'll go over the different types of circuitry when it comes to looking at reading a relationship composite chart. And so this is where you're going to want to get out your partner's chart and kind of see like what you have and you don't have. And to be honest, you're going to have to go to a certain software to see these channels that I'm talking about. So first we will start with, there are 4 types. There's the electromagnetic, and this is each person has one side of the channel and then it creates a pull and an activation between the other one. So for example, in my husband's chart, he has gate 36 and then I have gate 35. Now together, we're going to form an electromagnetic channel. It's because with the electromagnetic channel, he doesn't have the other half and I don't have the other half. So we kind of feel in together. And now when we're together, we're a full channel. And with human design, when you're a full channel, that's when you have like the most access to really access that energy of that channel, and it comes out in its most highest expression, especially if both partners are living with their not or are not in their not self theme. So if basically when me and Sergio, if we're living in alignment and we're in our success, then we're going to basically, because he's a projector too, we're basically going to be showing the highest expression of that channel when it comes together. So 35, 36, what it looks like is by itself, gate 36 is kind of the person who is always not trying to see all the problems and all the things, but it is somebody who, you know, really understands what it is to go through intense emotions and intense feelings. And sometimes, what is that called? I don't want to label it as trauma, but like it's a gate where this person has really gone through something pretty rough in their life. And so they kind of like keep that energy with them sometimes. And I would say like maybe that's part of the shadow part. So for example, I feel like for my husband, he plays it out because he's a public defender and he's always hearing like really horrific crimes. And so he has the capacity to hold that space and really understand that and take that in because it's also tied to the emotional center, gate 36. Now the other half is gate 35. And gate 35 is tied to the throat center. And gate 35 is called the gate of the wanderer. So it's a gate that wants to like wander around and it's always wanting to vibe new things. It's always wanting to even vibe new feelings because the opposite gate of it is 36, which is all about feelings. So it's always wanting to wander around and it loves to travel. It likes to see what's around the corner. You know, it's kind of like that type of like serendipity. Ooh, let's go here and let's see what's there. So the way that I see this for me and my husband play out is when we're traveling, he's always the one that's like worried about something happening. And I'm always like, no, it's going to be fine. Let's just turn the corner and let's see. So I get him out of that like state of like, oh, something devastating is going to happen. I'm like, no, actually there's a brighter side to it. Just turn the corner. And so, and then for me, gate 35, I mean, I could be wandering around forever and he'll be like, hey, Arlene, but you might need to take pepper spray. because they're always looking for something like bad to happen in a sense. So he balances out that 35 in me where I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. Maybe I should actually be a little more careful. So together though, it's definitely a balance. And that's that electromagnetic. It's like me getting him out of his shell and seeing like there's a corner to turn and there's a brighter end to the story. And then 36 for me, how it plays out is from him being like, okay, it's time to, cool the propellers down and really start to be, really think about what you're wanting to do and what you're wanting to explore. So that is something where we share, and I can see it definitely really play out when we travel, because we love to travel. And usually that as an activation channel is a channel that does like to travel and explore when it is fully defined. So that's one example of an electromagnetic. Do you know if you have any?
I actually have not looked at my design and Chris's design together. Yeah. I've looked at them separately to see like what our defined centers are, what our open centers are, and what channels we have. I know we have different channels. I don't think we have anything that overlaps, but yeah, I have to dive into it and really see now.
Yeah. We'll tap into that as I go on. But yeah, I've looked at a lot of people's charts, especially ones that I'm going to have a long-standing relationship with, or that I'm making these big life decisions with. It really does help, and it's super supportive. And so we'll go into the other. So there's 4 of them, right? So there's 4 types of activations that we're going to look at, right, when it comes to a human design relationship chart. So that was number 1. Number 2 is the compromise. And that's when both people have the same channel defined and can create tension or competition. So it's like, for example, I have gate 26 and 44. If Valerie had gate 26 and 44, we both have it defined, but one person's going to be fighting for that dominance, right? One person's going to have to compromise. And I feel like I've felt that energy before with when I had looked at a chart. I won't name the person's name, but I basically was their bitch.
Oh my gosh.
Energetically. And it wasn't until like the relationship kind of fell apart. And this was a partnership / friendship where I looked at their chart and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can totally see where I was like very submissive around this person, because that person had a lot of compromise activations when we were together. And it doesn't mean like, oh, that person, when it's, let's say this person was hanging out with Valerie, that whole dynamic could change because Valerie might have different stuff in her chart where they don't even have compromise channels. I believe me and my husband don't have any compromise channels. So there's nothing like we're over here trying to battle it out over. And when you say compromise, like, or when I say compromise, it's not like, oh, you guys are going to poke each other's eyes out. There is more to it than that. So even if you have these compromising channels that are activating your relationship chart, there's still another layer to it, which I can't get into, which I wish I could. That's why y'all need to join for this workshop or at the retreats. But there's a lot more to this. I'm just literally giving you a rundown. So I can see when 2 charts have that compromise, there's even something deeper where I can tell, oh, okay, this is actually going to be fine though. Like, one person might be a little more submissive, but you know what? That person can handle it versus, ooh, yes, this is going to be a problem. And the reason why you want to know that is because it gives you that energetic of like, okay, you know what? That's fine. That person can handle that. I don't need to, they can own it. They can do whatever they want. Unless it's something where you're like, and depending on the channel, this is the other thing. What channel is it? And what is the flavor of that channel? For example, that one that I gave you, 36, 35, right? Between me and Sergio. If we both had that channel in our charts defined, activated all the time, then we probably, could be battling on, well, no, you need to listen to me, or no, you need to listen to me, or no, let's say Sergio had that activation. His was a little stronger and more powering than mine. Then he'd be like, no, we're not going to go on that trip because it's just too much. There's this and there's that and there's this and like all the things, right? And I would be trying to like get him to, no, see the brighter side, right? So there is more to it, but that's just one example of what a compromise channel looks like. And the beauty of it, like I said, it gives the permission of that person who is actually meant to hold the energy. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like, no, you're not meant to hold that energy all the time. They are. So give them that gift that they probably naturally have and let them guide you. Now, again, if you look at certain charts, some people might have a harder time with it and some might not. And this is where the beauty of having conversations.
Yeah.
And using your human design chart.
That's so helpful. Like, that's incredibly insightful. What I'm curious to know is, which I think will go best into the next part you touch on, but like, how do we know compromise versus dominance?
So compromise is when they both have the same channel, right? And then the dominance is when one person has that energy center defined like all the time. Okay. And you don't have it.
I see.
Like, okay. It's just something like they consistently have. So that's where you would like, let's say, for example, I have, and this is probably pretty good for us together. Yeah. So I have 2644, and I don't know if you have gate 26 defined in your chart. I don't remember.
I actually might have it up right now. Let me see.
Yeah. Well, she's looking it up. So dominance just means that that person has that channel and you don't have it in your chart. So they're just completely dominant. Like, that's their energy. They get to own it. They don't share it with you. You're not having an electromagnetic gate that's attached to it. And so when it's a dominance, that means like, yeah, that person's functioning, they're flowing, they're bringing that energy to your relationship from that channel. Okay, so Valerie, yeah, she doesn't have 2644, which I do. And we can even give you as an example with stuff that I don't have. So 2644 is the channel of enterprise, and it's all about business. And
this is like, I'm getting so many light bulbs. I'm like, just like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, okay, here we come. Let's go.
Yeah, it's all about business, and it's about just really having an understanding of like business and structuring it. And so when it comes to Valerie and I with the podcast, like, I'm the one that's doing the back end stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Valerie is like the support, and she really helps. Right. So we both, but she also lets me do that. You know, you let me like kind of lead and guide in that sense. Mm-hmm. And so and I've even looked at our charts, and I know that ours is pretty fucking compatible.
Nice.
Because if not, I'd be like, I don't know.
There would be no podcast.
Yeah, there would be no podcast. So that's kind of would be good for Valerie to be like, oh, okay, cool. But if she had that, then we would both be battling on who's going to be the top dog or who needs to be the one running it, who needs to be the CEO, right? Okay. And obviously, like, that's not going to be our dynamic in a podcast, but it is the energetics of like, oh, okay, so Arlene does know just the energetics of structuring the business and, you know, organizing, and that's also my Virgo thing, putting all this stuff together, right? And so that's like one dynamic that would be positive, right, for both of us, because we are, if you're looking at our chart, it is a business relationship composite chart. Like, I wouldn't be looking at it for love and romance. I'd be looking at it, okay, well, how can we facilitate this podcast, and who has what to bring to the table? So like Valerie, one of her main activating channels, which I love this, and I can see this on social media, especially when Valerie does the social media posts sometimes. She has 3410. So 34 is very much, and it's on her unconscious side, but she has that like activating 34. Once it's in the moment and it's in the now, and it's also about self-love, because 10 is the gate of love and self-love. When she's like in her body, when she's in that love feeling, she's feeling herself basically, it's kind of like that gate 34 now lights up, and now it's like just super magnetic. Yes, it's very energizing. That. It actually draws people to it. So anybody that has gate 34, it's one of those gates that is very magnetic, and it attaches to different, you know, opposite gates, and it can attach to gate 10, it can attach to gate, I believe it can attach to gate 20 and also 57. So when it's attached to any one of those and it becomes a full channel, it's like extra magnetizing. So that would be like, okay, well, if we're looking at this between me and Val and our business with when it comes to Espiritu Coffee Chats, it's like when Valerie's in the moment and when she's in the flow, that's when, let's say, the audience is going to feel it and hear it, right? You can hear it through her voice. You can hear it maybe through social media when you can, you know, see our channel, which is go to Instagram at Espiritu Coffee Chats. But that's like an example. So it's like, okay, then maybe she's the one who leads more of the social with activating and bringing everybody to our podcast, right? Where I'm more like on the back end, doing all the nerdy, geeky stuff. So that's just like an example of how the dominance is. So now Valerie has that dominance in that section. I have dominance in this section. But even if you have dominance channels, it still doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good thing, because the other person might not accept that dominance. So that's why there's another onion to this where, we're just giving you like a super brief overview. So that's one example of the dominance channel. And now we'll go on to the companionship channel. So this one's really sweet. I love to see this one, especially if there's a lot of dominance and compromise activation. And then there's a friendship channel. And I'm like, oh, okay. So in the long run, maybe this couple or this partnership or this relationship, they have something that bonds them, which is a deep friendship and a deep love and respect for each other. So what companionship, I like to call a friendship channel, is when both have the channel defined in the same way and it creates similar ease through sometimes less activation and also growth. So pretty much it's like you both also still have the same channel and it's also defined in the same exact way. So without going into it too deep, it's basically in human design, there's like, we look at the channels, but then we also look at the little numbers that are attached to those onto the side. And depending on what those numbers are, then that will give the flavor of sameness in where both people are like, oh, okay. Oh, you like tarot? I like tarot. Cool. Now we can go on dumpster dives with tarot. So that's kind of the beauty of that one. And usually when you have a lot of companionship channels and you have maybe one compromise channel, then that might not always be the relationship that's activating for you because it's not challenging enough to you. It's too easy. It's too like, okay, but can you just pull my hair really quick? And then when you have too much dominance and too much compromise, and it's like, oh, then it feels like you both are just like climbing this mountain. And are you ever going to get to the top? Are you ever going to get to these agreements with each other? So that's where looking at the whole chart as a whole, and like I said, there's other little specifics that we get into when we're diving deeper into it. But those are like the four main things when we're looking at the two charts that are overlaid. And there's a certain software that you have to use and go to in order to get what your channels are. And then there's another thing. It's like, what group type are you? Which we won't dive into because this podcast will be a whole hour. But it's kind of like it goes into the energy centers and how many of them are open and not open within your composite chart together. And that creates a whole dynamic. So just knowing that your chart, when you're paired with somebody else, has its own chart and its own energy and its own flavor. And that's the beauty of human design. Like when we say it's a user's manual, it literally is like a user's manual for everything in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't even gotten to relationship charts or anything of that nature yet, but I have been doing a couple of design charts for like my friends and family. Like I have done one for my dad, and even just the very beginning parts of understanding his design, his archetype, his authority, all of that stuff like has brought in my understanding of like who my dad is and how he sees the world and how he operates. And he's also a projector. And so I'm curious to see like how our channels and stuff work because yeah, like when we're together, I mean, obviously we have like that sacral energy that he borrows from me, and I see it all the time when I come over the house. He's like, I gotta go clean the yard, and he's like all of a sudden busy bee. But I'm curious to see like what the other stuff is because he also has like a defined crown, and I think a defined head, the ajna and the crown. So yeah, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I need to dive in so much more. Yeah. And once you know the channels, like what is the theme of those channels, like how I gave an example of my husband and I, that's going to let you know, oh, okay, so this is the area of life where we have the friendship, or we have the compromise, or we have the dominance, or we have the electromagnetic. Usually a lot of people have a lot of electromagnetics. And again, going back to what an electromagnetic is, it's I have one gate and then that person has the other gate, and when we're together we plug in like a Christmas tree, and now we're a full-on strand of lit up Christmas lights. Those are electromagnetic. So you're always drawn to somebody that has the opposite of what you need to be a full channel. And then again, once you're a full channel, okay, that doesn't mean like, oh, let's just skip off into, the water and now we're in fantasy land. No, it's like, but also what are the dynamics of that? And what is the flavor of that channel?
Is it really important to you for whatever that channel is? Is that something that you're willing to compromise on? Or is that something that you're willing to basically be a bitch to? Right? So be submissive. I take that back. I should say submissive. Which submissiveness isn't a bad thing. And that's the beauty about human design. It's like we do need to learn at points in times to be submissive in our life, right? That's the feminine. And then the dominance is the masculine, like, hey, it is my authority to be in A, B, C, and D. And I am meant to be in dominance in this certain part of our relationship, right? And so that's where that person can say, negotiate that. Because once you know about it and you have a little more understanding and awareness, you're not like, oh, this person's just doing it just because they're like a jerk or because they're trying to control. It's just like, no, that's just the flavor that they're trying to bring and you're blocking it. Or you just don't. And even if you wanted to block it, this is the beauty. It's like you can have the conversations about it. Well, okay, you might really be wanting A, B, C, and D, but you know what? That doesn't really sit right with me. And can we talk about it? So this just opens up the portal to having conversations and connection by using your human design chart.
I mean, there's so much value in human design, especially like for these relationships, these relationship composites in every freaking form, from family to business, like all of it, because I'm thinking about like therapy and business coaching where like you have two partners that in business who maybe don't see eye to eye. And if you can help navigate someone through that, or even if you can navigate yourself through it, like it's just all about understanding the other person, understanding our relationships and being more open. And yeah, I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah. And also, if you're a split definition, and we talked about this the other day during our human design Q&A for the certification program, me and the students had a lovely conversation of understanding hanging gates, and then how we dove into how certain hanging gates are going to be really important, and you're looking for electromagnetics to fill those gates. So for example, I have gate 16 and gate 13, and I believe gate 20, which Valerie has gate 20, that I'm always, those are the 3 gates in my chart that I'm always wanting to be activated by. And those are actually all connected to the throat. So it's like, I'm always trying to speak something or bring something into manifestation, but I can't fully do it unless I don't have my helper people, and once I have these certain helper people, then I'm able to fully express what it is that I'm trying to bring to the table. For example, this podcast. This is such a perfect opportunity. Like, she has gate 20, and that's one of my split definition hanging gates that I need to get activated, because the split definition gates are kind of tied to your incarnation cross. And again, knowing that it's tied to the throat, I'm here to speak something, right? Bring something into existence by using the throat. Again, that's like just dumpster dives on like really understanding like certain hanging gates are really important for you to live out whatever purpose or whatever karmic contract that you have within this realm and this beautiful world. And so that's why you're attracting these people. And then when you attract them, you're like, oh my gosh, you're just amplified, right? Now the Christmas tree's lit up. And so that is like the beauty of it, in understanding like, literally, if you wanted to be strategic, you could be like, all right, I need to find a business coach, and I need this business coach to have the channel of the enterprise 2644. You better go hit up all your coaches before you're about to hire them and look up their chart and see if they have what you need.
Yeah. Part of your interview questions to be like, I need your birth date, time, and location.
That's like the magic question for everything. Do you want to add anything, Valerie?
Not really. I think I'm just so excited for the retreat, because this already has uncovered so much. I think for me, understanding relationships, the composites charts in like a whole new light. Like, I haven't even dove into that part of it yet. I'm still at the kind of more introductory intermediate level. So yeah, I'm looking forward to June.
Yeah, it'll be really eye-opening, because you can look at this with your children. That's really important, especially being a parent, and like, how do you see each kid for who they individually are, and how is your dynamic? There's so many times where I have people coming to me like, I don't know why me and my kid don't get along. And I'm like, well, let me look at your chart. And that's just such a big sigh for a parent. There's so much guilt sometimes when you feel like, how come I'm having such a hard time bonding? What is it? And then once you can look at their chart and it's like, oh, okay, everything just switches around. There's more consciousness and awareness behind it, versus being like, what's wrong with me as a parent? What's wrong with our relationship? It's just the dynamics. And once you have more awareness, then you're like able to turn the whole story around, And just to kind of reiterate on what it is, what were the 4 types, because I know this could probably get really confusing. So I want to leave you guys off with understanding the 4 channels, right? That are really important to, as you dive into understanding the relationship dynamics with human design. So electromagnetics are when each person has one side of a channel. So basically one person has one gate, the other person has the other gate. Together, you're a channel. Compromise is when both people have the same channel defined, and it can create tension. So same channel, there's a little bit of tension there. Dominance is when both have the channel defined, but one person's energy is a little more consistent and overpowers the other in that area. So it's kind of like, for example, if I have 4426, which I talked about earlier, and Valerie did have gate 44, she only has the gate, but I have the full channel. That's where I'm the dominant one, because I have the full expression of it and she just has the gate. That's as an example. Companionships are the sweet ones, the lovely ones. Those are when you both have the defined and it's all like similar. There's ease, there's growth. And that one is like when you both have the same channel base. And it's interesting because with my ex-husband and I versus my current husband, I definitely looked at our charts. I was like, let me see. And we have a friendship channel. And our channel isn't as activating as my current husband's channel, as my current husband's composite chart. And me and my ex-husband had always such a great friendship. Like we always, once we decided to obviously divorce, we've always co-parented really well with my son, and even my daughter who has passed, we still co-parent with her. And we just have such a strong, strong love for each other that when I looked at the chart, I was like, because at the end of the day, when it was contentious between us, especially if y'all ever been divorced, there are times where you want to poke each other's eyes out. But even then, we would still be able to come to this like nice, cool agreement. And I remember walking into the courtroom for one of our last hearings when we were getting divorced, and we literally like sat next to each other. We were like, damn, that sucks for them. Like we heard all these couples fighting, in front of the judge. And then once they called us up, we were just like, yeah, we already figured it out. Like here it is, whatever. And we walk out and we're like buddies.
Nice.
And I didn't know that until now when I looked at our chart and I was like, that makes sense. Like, so in the long run, I think the relationship that I had with him was obviously to birth my children into existence, but it just was met and built off a super energetic foundational love that we have for each other. And it's a different kind of love than I have for my current husband, who's a lot more activating for me in other ways where my previous husband was not. And it's not even to say it like in a bad way. No. It's just like, for whatever reason, this person lights me up a little more and activated me so that I can be propelled to my purpose in a sense, where this other person just held, and we were able to just get to a point, or I was maybe more so, of growth or whatever. And then it just kind of paused and stopped. So it's kind of interesting to look at it in that sense. So I hoped we sparked curiosity enough to get your ex's charts out. Message them when it's during Mercury retrograde.
Hire us for your private investigators.
Yes, hire us. We will tell you all about them. But yeah, so that's kind of in a nutshell. And if you want to know and dive deeper into it, we will be doing a workshop at the Human Design Retreat, which is going to be June 19th through the 21st. If you're local and or even if you're just not local, you just want to come down for the day and hang out with us and do these workshops. One of them will be what we're kind of talking about now. We'll obviously go deeper. We're obviously going to bring in your chart, and we'll have you bring in somebody else's chart that you really want to work on. And then you'll leave with like a workbook and all the things to really like know and understand how to take what you've learned and actually bring it into another person's chart that you really wanted to dive deep into, right? Then the other part of that is also looking at your sex, love, and money gates, because those also play a role in this type of reading as well, but not so much like. It's so beautiful because there's caring gates, there's love gates, there's actually money gates in your chart. There's friendship gates. So it's like if you have all these things activated in certain ways, then that just gives you more of that consciousness and awareness to like, oh, like this is what I bring to the table when it comes to the dynamics of relationship, love, and even sex. There's like, this is one of my favorite workshops to do, because it's actually like, what kind of sexual partner are you? And so we'll talk about that. And then there's, when it comes to money and abundance, obviously I say money because that's how we nowadays think about abundance, but it's just abundance in general, and like understanding like, hey, maybe you are not the person to always quote unquote have this money, but you have another energetic of abundance in a different way. And so what does that look like for you? So I think it hits on the parts of, love. How do we love ourselves? It's self-love. What does love look like to us? Like, how do we want to be loved, but also how do we love the other? And then obviously sex, right? Like high passion. There's so much that you can do if you're into like sex magic work, if you're into like tantra and that type of activation. This is really great energetics to play with. And then if you're into really wanting to work with abundance, whether you're wanting to call in more money, more resources, right? It's not always about money, or the energetics of just feeling abundant, then those are the also parts that we're going to ping into, because those are so important layered with this type of reading, because the more you know you, the more you can attract what you're really wanting to bring to the table to really nurture you, but then also really use your gifts to support, you with relationships, right? With partnerships. And what Valerie just learned the other day when we were talking about transits in our human design Q&A for our certification program, you can also look at transits and see what's being activated in your personal chart, and have like a composite chart with you in the universe.
It's crazy I feel like once you start understanding human design and dive really deep into it, like how you say you go into the rabbit holes, like it just opens up a whole new perspective, I feel like. And especially if you are someone like me right now, I'm trying to be more open and understanding of just generally the world and people in it. And I feel like having this understanding of human design helps me be a lot less reactive and just more open and understanding, like, oh, well, it's just their design. Like, It's not anything ill-intentioned or anything. Like, this is just how they operate. And like, maybe they don't have their throat defined, so it doesn't always come out the right way. But yeah, I think just having this understanding, especially of relationships, is just so magical.
Right. You made me think about, there's a reason for a season. And that also happens with relationships. Like, I was just thinking about some of the human design charts that I was able to pull up and look at partnerships and relationships, and the ones that didn't work out. But even though it didn't work out, they activated something for me at that time that needed to happen. So it wasn't like these were relationships that totally fell apart and didn't do anything for me in my life, or I, vice versa. But it was like activations, right? Like, we're not meant to live in summer forever. We're not meant to live in spring forever. And sometimes we're meant to have those seasons of friends, right? But we're also just meant to have people come to us at certain points in our life to literally activate us.
Yeah.
And that's what this chart kind of is like, gives you that permission slip to be like, oh, that relationship didn't work out. But you know what though? Like, I got so much out of that relationship. Like, now I can have that healing. Now I can move forward. So it's also looking at it in that way and giving like that blessing to that relationship that maybe didn't fully, pan out the way you thought it would. But I'm sure there was a lot of, lessons that were probably really deep, probably cathartic. And maybe that was the point of your relationship, was to shake a core about you, to shift you into a new dynamic, right? And again, it's relationship dynamics. So I think that's a good way to close this off.
Yes, because you guys just need to come to the retreat in June. Where's it, Del Mar?
San Diego, Del Mar, California. So yeah, I have a lot more things planned: sound healing, breathwork, but all revolving around human design, really activating your chart from a conscious embodiment level. And then lots of fun, like I like to do, not games, but like I want to make it very interactive with each other. So really like doing some little activations in between things, and then obviously hang out, relax. And I'm also excited for this Ayurvedic chef, because also I want to bring in a little bit of Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is in human design and understanding what that is. And then the portal of the summer solstice, which is another big activation with human design. And so it's just going to be a lit up weekend.
Yes.
Be prepared to be a Christmas tree and all lit up.
Yes. Where can people buy tickets or day passes?
So you can sign up on my website. You can go to lunasolwellness.com, hit the human design immersion retreat, and then all the details are there. You will also, if you attend this retreat, because I want you to be a little more familiar with your own chart, you will be getting a PDF reading from me. And then we will all come together before the retreat and have a Q&A so we can go over each and everybody's charts as far as like if you have questions about it. Obviously, you're going to get a lot on this PDF reading that you can read on your own, but then this is an opportunity for you to come as a collective group, get to know the other girlies that are going to be attending. Some of the human design students will be there to really support everybody else in their journey and their learning, and they're still learning too. So I think it'll be a really beautiful experience, especially because it's already starting ahead of time before you actually come to the retreat. So it's like a workup activation, and then now you're in the portal once you come to Del Mar with us. So if you really want to learn about your chart, there's going to be time and a place for that. And then by the time you get to the retreat, you're already going to know about yourself. So I don't have to answer those those questions like, what does it mean to have a G center defined and all that stuff. Like you're going to learn all of that before we come together. So that way you can just focus on learning the workshop, and you're actually going to be a little more like fine-tuned with like yourself, and you won't be worried so much about understanding the foundations of human design. You'll kind of get that before we get to the retreat.
Yeah. And last year's summer solstice that you hosted was really fun. I was able to attend that one, and there was also a bunch of other guests, and everyone raved about it. So don't get FOMO this year. Get your tickets before it fills up.
Yep. Get them now. All right. Well, thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, reach out, but obviously come to the retreat. You'll be able to connect with me and Valerie a lot more one-on-one for a couple days or even just for the day. But we definitely want you to come for the full weekend, because then we can really activate you, and I might need to borrow your sacral.
Yes. Come join us in the sun.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Espiritu Coffee Chats.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation and found a little inspiration to take with you.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more.
Until next time, keep the spirit alive and the coffee brewing. Cheers! Ow, ow, ow. Thank you.